Okay, so hello and welcome to my short talk on blood groups. I'd like to enhance your understanding, if possible, on how blood transfusions are able to be taking place, in the sense that who can actually donate and who can receive blood from someone else based on their blood type. So Karl Landsteimer came up with this idea of these blood groups. Okay, so he came up with this ABO system. And people can be blood group A, they can be blood group B, they can be blood group O, they can be blood group AB. There's some other weird and wonderful blood groups, I'm sure, in addition to that. But we're going to be focused on these main ones, AB, and B and O, are the main blood groups we're going to be looking at today. So if you're blood group A, what does this actually mean? Well, in terms of who you can give blood to, let's think about donating first. So if you're blood group A, you have A antigen, which is your little receptor on your red blood cell. You have your A type antigen. So you're not going to make antibodies to yourself, so you're not going to have an anti-A antibody. However, this isn't really that relevant for donating blood to somebody else, because you're actually thinking more outside your own body. So if you give blood to somebody else who's blood group A, like I've just said, they're not going to have an antibody against their own blood type. So you're not going to have anti-A antibodies. So therefore you can receive blood group A if you're another blood group A person. However, if you're blood group B person, can you receive the blood from somebody else who's blood group A? Well, to answer this question, we need to look at what blood group B actually means. So blood group B, they have the B antigen, but they don't have the A antigen, which means that it doesn't matter if they have an anti-A antibody. Therefore, they do have anti-A antibodies, and therefore they reject this blood from this blood group A person. So blood group B can't receive blood from somebody who's blood group A, but somebody else who's blood group A can, because they're not going to have antibodies to fight against themselves. How about blood group AB then? Can they receive blood from somebody blood group A? Well, blood group AB means they have antigens A and B, which means they have antibodies to, they can't have antibodies, to A or B, because otherwise it would attack their own immune system. They can't have anti-A antibody, they can't have anti-B antibody either, so therefore yes, they can receive blood from blood group A, so our donor can give to somebody blood group AB, because they can't make any antibodies against it, because it would attack themselves. So if you're blood group A, you can give to somebody who's blood group A, you can give to somebody who's blood group AB, you can't give to somebody who's blood group B, because they're going to have the anti-A antibody, because it doesn't matter for them, because they're blood group B. So they're going to have, they're not going to have an antibody against themselves, but they are going to have antibodies against other blood groups, such as blood group A. So therefore they can't receive blood from somebody who's blood group A. So we talked about sort of donating. If you're blood group A, you can donate to somebody else who's blood group A. You can donate to somebody else who's blood group AB. So I'll just give you a sort of moment to digest that, and then we'll move on to sort of thinking about blood group B, so that we can kind of make your understanding a bit clearer. So I'll give you a few seconds now just to pause. Okay, so thinking regarding blood group B now, if you're blood group B, what does this mean? So it means you have this B antigen, your receptor's blood type B. Okay, so you're not going to make an antibody to your own antigen, so you're not going to have anti-B antibody, which goes against your own B type antigen, and therefore you're going to be able to, you're going to have blood which has this B type antigen. So who can you actually give blood to? So if you gave blood to somebody who's blood group A, they're going to have anti-B antibody, because it doesn't matter for them, because they're going to have an antibody against other blood groups, but they can't have it against themselves. They can't have anti-A antibody because they are blood group A, but they can have anti-B antibody, so they do. And therefore you can't give somebody blood group A, because they've got an antibody against your blood group B, anti-B antibody it's called. They've actually got these blood group A patients. So you can't give blood group A, but then blood group B, another blood group B person is going to have, like you, they're not going to have antibodies against their own antigens, they're not going to have anti-B antibody, and therefore you can give to them. Can you give to somebody who's blood group AB? Well, if they're blood group AB, they're going to have antigens A and B, they're not going to have an antibody against their own antigens, so they're not going to have anti-B antibody, therefore they're not going to fight against blood group B, so you can donate to blood group AB. Blood group O, if you're blood group B, can you donate to somebody with blood group O? Well, if they're blood group O, they have no real antigen, so they can make all the antibodies in the world, and it doesn't matter to them because they're not going to fight against their own immune system. So it's going to reject pretty much every blood. So if you're blood group B, you're not going to be able to donate to blood group O. So that's blood group A and B, explain who they can actually donate to and kind of who you can receive from. I should have elucidated that a bit as well. So now moving on to blood group AB. What does this mean? So we have mentioned it a couple of times now. So it's when you have the antigens A and B. So you have blood antigen A and B. Therefore, are you going to make antibodies against your own antigens? No. So you're not going to make anti-A antibody. You're not going to make anti-B antibody. And therefore, you're not going to really make very many antibodies at all, which means you can receive blood from pretty much any other blood group, like I mentioned earlier. Blood group A can donate to blood group AB, so this AB is a receiver. It can receive blood from pretty much any blood group because it doesn't have antibodies against itself, so therefore it's not going to have antibodies against other blood groups because it is blood group A and B already combined in one, if you like. So it can receive blood from somebody who's blood group B, can receive blood from somebody who's blood group A, and it can receive blood from somebody who's blood group O because they don't have an antigen, so it can't elicit an immune reaction in you. So in terms of who you can donate to then, your blood group AB, can you donate to many people? Well, no, because you've got both these two types of antigens, so you've got lots of things that can elicit an immune reaction in that person. So if you give your AB blood to somebody who's blood group A, all very well, they're not going to have an anti-A antibody, so the A bit's fine, but because you have B antigen as well, if they're blood group A, they're going to have anti-B antibody, and if they're blood group B, they're going to have anti-A antibody, so it's going to react to one of your antigens that you've got if you're blood group AB. So if you're blood group AB, you're not very good at giving to other people. You can't give to blood group A, you can't donate to blood group B. Can you donate to blood group O? Well, no, because they have all the antibodies in the world, as we've said, because they don't have an antigen for it to attack a self-antigen, so therefore they can have lots of antibodies, that's fine. So therefore you can't donate to blood group A, B or O, but you can receive from somebody who's blood group A because you're not going to have antibodies against yourself. You can receive blood group B because you're not going to have anti-B antibody because it would attack yourself, and therefore you're a receiver if you're blood group AB. So now we're only really left with one now, blood group O. So I mentioned this blood group O doesn't really have an antigen receptor, and therefore is it gonna have antibodies? Let's have a think about it. If it had antibodies against no antigen, would it matter for that person? Well, no, not really, because you're not going to attack yourself if there's nothing to attack, are you? So therefore that's fine. They can have antibodies, they can have anti-A antibody, that's fine, that's going to reject something foreign. If blood group A comes in, they're not going to like it because they don't have an antigen themselves, and if something's got an antigen of any type really, they're not going to really want it in their body. So therefore you can't receive blood from blood group A because, like I say, you've got all the antibodies, so your anti-A antibody. You can't receive blood from blood group B because if you're blood group O, you have anti-B antibody as well. And can you receive blood from blood group AB? Well, no, because they have both of the antigens to elicit those immune reactions, and we just said that it's got antibodies against blood group A and it's got antibodies against blood group B, so it's going to have antibodies against blood group A and B for the A and B antigen which is present in blood group AB patients. So therefore we've established that it's not a very good receiver, this blood group O, because it can't really receive blood from anyone because it's got so many antibodies. So who can it actually donate blood to then? So let's think about it. It's got no real antigen. It can't elicit an immune response. So if you're blood group O and you donate to somebody who's blood group A and you give your O-type blood to them, just think about it. It's just been put into this person. It's got no antigen to elicit an immune response. It's not going to elicit an immune response. So you can give to blood group O. Great. How about blood group B if you're blood group O? Yes, you can give to them as well, because there's no antigen to elicit an immune response. Yes, you have anti-A antibodies, but you're not going to have the A antigen anyway, so it doesn't matter in blood group B. If you're blood group O, can you give to blood group AB? Well, blood group AB, yeah. Perhaps more so than the other blood groups anyway, because blood group AB is going to have limited antibodies because it's got both antigens, so it can't make antibodies against itself, so therefore it's going to be a good recipient blood type. So therefore O is considered the universal donor, AB, is considered the universal receiver, and blood groups A and B can receive blood from themselves but can't receive blood from each other. So, because obviously, like I've just mentioned before, if your blood group A, we'll go through that one once more. So if your blood group A, you're going to have the A antigen, you're not going to make an anti-A antibody, but you are going to make an anti-B antibody, so you can't actually receive blood from blood group B, and vice versa. Okay, so I hope that sort of clears up in terms of who can actually donate blood to who, and I hope it clears up a little bit about why. I'm not sure, if the reasons I'm discussing are the actual reasons why, but it's a good way to think about it and actually remember. If you think about what antibodies could you have if you had an antigen, just use common sense. Think, I'm not going to want an antibody against myself, so what antibody can I actually have that's not going to attack me, but is going to defend myself from alternative blood types, and that should help your understanding. So I hope you found this helpful. I understand it is quite a confusing concept to get your head around, so I certainly have had plenty of practice at it as a human biology student. So I hope if you've got any questions, please post them in the description of this video, and I hope I haven't made any sort of massive errors in my logic, and hopefully see you soon. Goodbye, and thanks for listening.